Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aqua Dam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aqua Dam can do the job. An Aqua Dam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aqua Dam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aqua Dam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aqua Dam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
It's the Opperman Report. Join digital forensic investigator and PI Ed Opperman for an in-depth discussion of conspiracy theories, strategy of New World Order resistance, high-profile court cases in the news, and interviews with expert guests and authors on these topics and more. It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, private investigator Ed Opperman. You can find me at Opperman Investigations and Digital Forensic Consulting through my website, emailrevealer.com. Also, too, we have a members section at OppermanReport.com where you can go and find the extra shows and extra content that we have behind a paywall. So you sign up, become a member, and listen to all our great content. Also, as usual, all of our archives are free. You could find them at Spreaker.com. Just Google Spreaker.com, Opperman, and pretty much any topic in the world, and you'll come up with a show. Fascinating guest today, fascinating topic. We have Jack Peterson, who is the former spokesperson or the current spokesperson for the incel movement, which is the involuntary celibacy. Mr. Peterson, are you there?
Yep.
Thank you so much. Tell us about yourself before we get into the whole
thanks for
incel
having me.
stuff. Yeah, thank you. Before we get into the whole incel movement, tell us about yourself. Who is Jack Peterson?
Well, yeah, like you said, I've done a lot of speaking about the incel community. I've made films before. I think you probably read about me. I worked for the FBI on incels. I've had a pretty weird life, but basically, I mean, my main thing that I usually talk about is just the dating scene and how messed up it can be these days. And I just, I guess I just want to help men understand a lot of the problems that they're facing. So
You still look like a young guy. You're born in 1998. So you're a young man. I'm 57. I'm going on a date right after the show. Okay, I can tell you, it only gets worse, bro. The dating scene only gets worse.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah. One question now. Are you still the spokesperson for the incel community or former spokesperson?
I would say I'm still the spokesperson. I mean, you'll read a lot of conflicting things about me, and the reason is maybe it is just because I'm young, like you said. But when I first started doing these interviews, I wasn't sure how to handle it or what I was supposed to say. So so it's difficult to pin me down exactly, which is why you might have read conflicting things. But yeah, I still talk about incel stuff a lot. So I'm still the spokesperson.
Okay, so now for the average person listening to this show who didn't type in and Google incel and are familiar with it, what would you describe as incel? What is that?
Right. Well, I mean, the term dates back to the 90s. It means involuntarily celibate, which basically means, you're trying to get laid, you're trying to have sex, but for whatever reason, you just can't, or you're being rejected by women, basically. That's what the term means. So I'm sure a lot of men have been involuntarily celibate throughout their lives. I mean, I would say, like, if it's been several years and you haven't been able to get laid despite trying constantly, that's when you fit the definition, basically. So
how does that differ from the other movement, which I guess kind of overlaps, is men going their own way?
Right. So men going their own way, the concept behind that group is basically you have access to women, you have access to sex, but you're choosing to abstain. You're choosing to stay away from women because you feel like women aren't worth the trouble. It has a lot to do with marriage. Like, men think that if they get married, they're gonna lose a lot of money in divorce and they might get cheated on. So men going their own way is a choice. Incel is not by choice. However, I would say that a big majority of men going their own way, it's actually not their choice, and they're using that as like a kind of a coping mechanism. So,
but isn't there a portion of the men going their own way movement that will use prostitutes? They'll pay for sex.
Yeah. I've heard of that, but at the same time, there's incel men who would maybe see prostitutes as well. And so the thing is, I wouldn't count seeing a prostitute as solving the problem, because with sex, you want the validation of knowing the girl wanted it and not that you had to pay her. You may have to pay a girl, you may have to pay for her food on the date or something, today. So my point is, like, you want the validation of knowing she wanted it, and it wasn't just like an exchange of money for services. So that's the difference.
When I announced that I was going to do a show with you, I was sent some information about the pickup artist movement, that somehow that was an instigation for the incel movement. Are you familiar with that?
Right. Yeah. Pickup artistry is basically just, the art of picking up girls on the streets or, at the mall or the grocery store or whatever. Just the idea of approaching a girl and coming up with the best way to get her number and altering your behavior in such a way that you can trick a girl. Most people in the incel community basically make fun of pickup artistry and think it's kind of ridiculous. I don't think most women want to be picked up on the streets or at the grocery store. You know what I mean? I find it to be kind of ridiculous, but it's definitely related. Because many men who struggle with women will turn to pickup artistry, and try to make that work. So.
And do you think there are any? I've seen those videos in the TV show. I've seen that stuff. And do you think any men are really successful with those techniques?
Well, it depends on the situation. Like, I think you can be successful with it. If you have a certain level of like. First of all, it's ridiculous to think that some ugly short guy is going to be successful with pickup artistry, and that's kind of the thing. If you're a decent looking guy or even an average looking guy, and you're somewhat charming, then I think it might work. But at the same time, I think pickup artistry was more popular like 15, 20 years ago or something. It's especially nowadays with just all this, I guess the Me Too thing is more about powerful people abusing the power. But like, I don't think women appreciate this, like being approached in public and trying to get their number. I just think it brings up a lot of problems now. So I don't know. It's not something I would recommend doing it, but I think it could work in the right context, but I don't think that's how most relationships get started anyway.
Yeah, not anymore, that's for sure. It was.
No.
When I was your age, you'd go to the bar, you'd hang out and dancing and stuff like that. And that was
exactly.
That was the main way you'd church or something like that. You'd meet someone in person. Now it's all online. And it's all social distancing, and that's going to only get worse.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the virus, exactly. Yeah.
So then, what in your personal life, what brought you to this place of being incel?
Well, it's a lot of different factors, but I think the first thing was when I was pretty little, like when I was even just starting out in school and then getting into my early teens. I was bullied a lot in school, just for superficial things. Like I was kind of chubby. I had acne, so I was basically an outcast. Which is, in hindsight, it's pretty common, to be bullied in school. But I took it pretty hard, and I felt like I was rejected in general, and I certainly wasn't getting any female attention. And so what happened was I ended up, I basically dropped out of school when I was 15 because of bullying and things like that. And then I started spending a lot of time online, wondering why I was such a loser and why, girls didn't like me or whatever. And then eventually you basically find these communities and the incel community. And so what attracted me to it was that I could talk freely about this stuff, without, fear of being shamed, basically. So yeah, it's just like an open place to talk about your problems with women.
So you're telling me that around 2015, or even earlier than that, 2013, 2014, when you were about 15 years old, there were, back then,
right, that
there were online communities already of people all sharing this, they're calling themselves incel?
Yeah, pretty much. The thing is, the term incel, I guess that's the newer term, like since 2017-ish, but
okay.
the thing is, there's, it's probably since the beginning of the internet, there's been groups that revolve around the same thing, just under a different name, right? Because this is something, men complaining about not getting women is a, pretty common thing. So basically, there's many different groups that share a similar culture. And so what happens is, if you spend years on these websites, the incel community is just one of many. And so me finding the incel community probably 3 or 4 years back, it was just a natural evolution of all the other sites I was going on where people complain about the same thing. But I've been spending time in these incel types of places since for probably 10 years, since I was really young. So.
Well, then the thing is, because you described to me that the problem was the bullying and your lack of confidence and stuff like that, and self-esteem, I guess, And wouldn't it?
Right.
Have you ever tried to work on yourself and work on your confidence and your self-esteem rather than focus on the constant negativity of not being able to accomplish something and surround yourself by other people that are having that same kind of problem?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what I've spent a lot of time doing over the last 2 years, and that's why I still consider myself a spokesperson for the group, but at the same time, I've tried to put more time into actually bettering my situation and figuring out how to attract women and figuring out how to get laid and the steps you need to take to actually attract a woman in the first place. I can say for sure that my situation has improved a lot in the last 2 years, and so I don't feel like the biggest incel anymore. I mean, I think that the things I've learned about women in the last couple of years, I could definitely help people through a similar situation, because it's much better for me than it used to be. But I definitely still struggle. So,
well, you play this right. You could do some self-help books and make a fortune at this,
Yeah, maybe. Right.
Now, let me ask you real quick. Now, what about your parenting? What was your parenting like? Did your mother and father have a relationship? Did you grow up in a two-parent home?
No, I didn't. My dad was kind of pushed out at a young age, and so I only really had my mom. And the thing about her was she never disciplined me much. She never really parented me in much of any way. I mean, we have a good relationship. She was a good mom, but she never instilled any values in me. So I just kind of floated freely through the world trying to figure things out. And so I never had anyone to really tell me, definitely not what to do about women. No one ever told me that. And no one ever really showed me how to become a man or any of those things. So it was that for sure was part of the problem. And I think that could be said for the same thing could be said for a lot of guys.
Yeah. And then if you surround yourself with other people that are kind of wayward, kind of drifting about, it can only make things worse. Now what about
exactly?
Yeah. Well, what about what kind of dating relationships have you had?
That's the thing. I mean, I've had a decent number of relationships, and this is why the incel community didn't really appreciate me being their spokesperson, because I didn't fit the criteria or something. I've had probably a pretty normal amount of dating experience now for being 21, and I don't find it that difficult to get dates or anything now. Which shows that it was more of for me at least, it was more of a mindset problem than anything to do with my looks.
Right.
Which is, and now I don't doubt that there's definitely people who have a problem with their looks, and that is the problem. I won't deny
body odor.
People who
teeth.
Yeah, well, yeah, sure. I mean, there's all sorts of things that could lead to being unattractive to women, but for me, my biggest problem the whole time was basically lack of just, I guess, self-esteem and lack of trying. Those were my biggest issues. And also thinking, I always thought that I was worse off than I actually was, and I blew it up out of proportion.
Exactly.
So a bad mindset can really mess you up, for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everyone's in their own head, man. They don't realize the guy sitting next to them is just as screwed up as we are, Especially when you're in those early teen years. You think everybody's staring at you, looking at everything you're doing.
Right.
Now, though, that because you've done a bunch of documentaries, a bunch of interviews and stuff like that, there must be women who see you and seek you out and see you as a challenge, right, to want to come after you, right?
Yeah, that's happened before. I don't, I feel weird about that, like, because so my little semi-fame or whatever attracts people, but I don't see that as the best road to go down, because then you wonder, okay, girls are attracted to any kind of status, right? Whether it's any kind of status in a certain career or money or even just a little bit of online fame that I have or whatever. And so are they attracted to you, or are they attracted to something else? Like, are they actually attracted to, who you are? So that's why I don't, I try to just get involved with girls who don't know anything about me initially, and then I find that to be much better. But maybe, I don't know, maybe that's a mistake, but it also feels weird to talk to a girl who knows you, but you have no idea who she is, like, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I trust me, I do. Yeah, and they think they know everything about me. They think, that's very disturbing. Now, am I wrong to think that the incel community is more alt-right, Trump supporter, right-wing types?
I think you would be wrong in saying that. And I mean, the only reason why is that most incels that I've talked to are very strongly apolitical, kind of like nihilistically apolitical, where they say, nothing matters anyway. I mean, it's over for us. We're never going to be able to get a girl, so what does it matter, which political side you support? I mean, I don't think most of them seem to care. I mean, most of them are narrowly focused on women. It's political discussions aren't even really that common. I mean, I see the media has lumped them together because that's the fun thing to do. You know what I mean? That's what they want. They always want to group in right-wing people with whatever subculture they can find. But no, that's not really true. I mean, this is the other thing. They've done polls, on the various websites to get the demographics, and I'm pretty sure the majority of incels aren't even white. So, like, the idea that incels are these white alt-right Trump supporting guys or something, it's just not really true. So yeah.
Well, what about your personal politics? Would you call yourself a Trump supporter, right-wing guy?
Well, I did vote for Trump. I might again, but
really?
the reason I vote for Trump is a different reason most people vote for Trump. I'm a Trump supporter in just in the way that I do it just because it makes people mad and it makes me laugh. That's it. It has nothing to. I'm in the same way that most incels are apolitical and don't seem to care. I'm the same way. I don't care about politics. I mean, I support whatever gets people riled up because I find it funny. I mean, that's really it. I'm definitely not a political person. I'm focused on my own life and how I can make my life, less bad, basically. Right. That's been my journey over the last couple of years, and anything political I do is just to, provoke a response out of people. I really don't care who's president, to be honest.
What about, though, the people in this community, right? Do you find them to be more angry than the average person?
Well, they're definitely more angry than the average person, and I think that's just because lack of sex and lack of female attention will make somebody angry. Typically, I mean, that's just a natural course of events. I mean, I think it just leads to bitterness. I mean, it might not lead to like outright rage, but people will definitely become resentful if they go years and years or even a lifetime without female attention. I mean, there's guys that are like 30 years old and virgins, and I don't see how you wouldn't be angry if that happened to you. So,
is there a lot of discussion in these forums about rape and domestic violence and stuff like that? Yeah. There's, I mean, people definitely talk about rape and violence and violence against women to keep them in their place or something. I mean, it's definitely in there. I think, like I said, a lot of this stuff is a natural consequence of going without women for too long. I mean, this is how I can show that. Like, me, as someone who went without any kind of attention from women for a long time, once I started to get it later in life, and then the last couple of years having more success, a lot of my rage and a lot of my unhappiness kind of subsided, and I feel more at peace now. I feel more relaxed, and so there must be some importance to getting women in your life, because if it's improved my mental state that much, then of course it's going to make a lot of these guys extremely angry when it's not happening, Okay, but there's a lot of I'm online all the time, right? You're on Facebook,
right.
Twitter, and there's people who are in divorced, horrible relationships. They don't even sit in the same room with their wife. Okay, they're married, but they don't even sit in the same room with their wife.
Right.
But
right.
in those forums, it wouldn't be accepted or acceptable for people to be talking about rape and domestic violence. Isn't it more common for it to be acceptable in these incel forums and men going their own way?
Yeah. No, it's definitely more accepted on these groups. And I think the main thing for that is all the social norms and boundaries that exist in regular culture or on normal social media like Twitter, Facebook. All of those boundaries go out the window, and this is what I think happens on incel forums. And this is, by the way, if you read about a lot of the stuff I said a couple years back, I was kind of was more restricted with like some of the stuff I was saying. I was trying to toe the line and not be too extreme with things. But this is the reality of what I think. I think incels, all that extreme stuff they're saying about rape and violence, I think that anyone who's in their situation feels the same way, but they just don't say it because of all the social norms. But incels are saying what a lot of men actually think, but just with no filter. That's what I think. Now, divorced men, that's a different story, because divorced men might have had a bad situation, but they're not like a virgin at 40 years old or something. So that's a different type of like anger, I think.
I bet many of them wish that they were. Okay.
Well, yeah. After a bad divorce, yeah, right.
You've been through a bad one, man. You wish you found this incel group years earlier. Listen, I want to have to take a commercial break. We're with Jack Peterson, who is the spokesperson for the incel community. Now, Jack, you don't have you got a YouTube channel you want to plug, right? Well, what's the name of it? We just look up Jack Peterson Incel, INCEL on YouTube, and you'll come right up.
Oh yeah, it'll come right up. For sure.
And what kind of content do you have on there?
It's mostly just me venting about nonsense about women, and so if you're interested in that kind of thing, check it out.
Okay, we'll be right back with more of Jack Peterson and the incel community after these messages. And now a word from our sponsors. If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aqua Dam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aqua Dam can do the job. An Aqua Dam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aqua Dam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aqua Dam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aqua Dam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119. PureSoapFlakes.com, 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.
It's the Opperman Report. And now, here is investigator Ed Opperman.
Okay, welcome back to the Opperman Report. I'm your host, Private Investigator Ed Opperman. We're here today with Jack Peterson, who's a spokesperson for the incel community, which is called involuntary celibacy. Incel community.
That's right.
Jack Peterson. And you can find him on YouTube. He got a YouTube channel there where he's, I guess does a lot of complaining, I guess. That's pretty much what he said, complaining about women. Now,
Right.
The day I first heard the expression, the phrase, incel, it was when I was reading that manifesto by that guy, the kid in California, who drove his truck down the street and ran over all those women.
Right.
Well, so what's the deal with that? Because there are many of those guys who are doing those school shootings and those kind of things are incel, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one you're talking about happened in Canada, Alec Manasseh, and there's a few different ones. But yeah, the one that was 2 years ago that made the term incel go mainstream was by Alec Manasseh in Toronto. He rented a van and he ran over 10 people and killed them because he was basically struggling with women and felt like he was being rejected. And it's definitely happened many times. I mean, I think you could make a good case that almost all these shootings and these attacks have some link to inceldom in a way. And now, unless it's otherwise stated, like unless it's otherwise, maybe there's some political or religious agenda. But I think a good percentage of these incidents are caused by the guy being incel. Even if that term isn't used, I think he might be feeling the similar things. Because I'm sure you've heard that many times. The guy felt like he was rejected by society, and so he lashed out. So yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
Isolated, frustrated. This is going to cause you to lash out. Now,
right?
Do you think that's by design? Do you think that there's a manipulation, media manipulation, government, big business manipulation of the population to make us more distant and not interact with each other as much, to encourage us to use these cell phones all the time on your smartphone? Do you think that's by design?
I mean, that sounds like kind of a conspiracy element. I mean, it's possible. I mean, definitely we're being pushed further and further apart. I mean, it's kind of cliche to say now, but we're more connected than ever, but yet we're more isolated at the same time. And then now there's this whole pandemic, and we have to social distance and wear masks and not touch anybody ever again. But so it's possible. I mean, I think this is more just a consequence of just way too much technological advancement. We're not supposed to be able to talk to anyone in the world instantly. We're not supposed to be able to go on dates with anyone because you have these apps where you can just swipe on everyone in a 100-mile radius. All of this technology, I think, probably has done us more harm than good, which is why everything seems to be fracturing right now, and there's all this chaos in the world. I think it's just a consequence of that human beings are not built for the world that we were born into. All this social media and stuff, it's making our brains go haywire, I think. So
I agree with you on that. Now, you somehow became friends or associated with the brother of the Las Vegas shooter. How did that happen?
That's a long story. Yeah, okay. The reason I became friends with that guy, I interviewed him for this film I made called Sawgrass, which I guess you can look it up on YouTube. Just look up Sawgrass film. It has nothing even to do with what we're talking about. It's like an abstract art film. I mean, I don't think most people will care, but it does relate to the incel group, kind of indirectly, Eric Paddock. So the Las Vegas shooter, I found him interesting because he's an old guy. He's an old rich guy who went on a shooting in Las Vegas. It was the deadliest shooting in America. He killed 58 people, and basically this is his situation. So he had a lot of money, and he was successful, and he was a high roller in Vegas, but he didn't seem to have many friends at all. He did have a girlfriend, but it was she might as well have been a mail order bride, kind of a gold digger taking his money. He didn't really have anyone to connect with in his life, and there's some text that he sent to I forget who it was. It might have been a prostitute. A few weeks before he did the shooting, and he talked about how alone he felt in the world and how he was isolated, and he felt like people were just taking advantage of each other. And so I think it connects to the incel group in a way. I mean, just that isolation, and now Eric Paddock, his brother, I interviewed for this weird film I did. He's just one of the most hilarious guys I've ever met. I mean, he just says some of the most ridiculous stuff. But I mean, from what he talks about, a lot of his brother's motivations came down to probably withdrawal from the world and just getting older, feeling like missing out on opportunities. And so that's what I meant before when I said a lot of these shootings and attacks, I think you can tie them in with being incel, even if the person never used that word. So
yeah, with Paddock too, you got to remember, I don't know if you've ever sat in one of those Joker poker machines for more than an hour or 15, 25 minutes. He was out there for like 6-8 hours and sitting there hitting those buttons. That is so hypnotic and addicting, and just you stagger. Your eyes are blinking when you walk away from those things. Even a half hour. So some of that obsessed with. Now, somehow along the way, you became an informant for the FBI. How was this?
Right. So that was it was last year. The FBI turned up at my door, and the first thing I thought was like, did I do something wrong and I forgot about it or something? but no, they told me that they knew me from some of my incel interviews online. They wanted to basically gather information on the incel group and find out if there were any violent attacks being planned, and they wanted to see if there was anything they could do to stop any future attacks. And so they turned me into an informant, basically, to try to find potentially dangerous targets and stop them in their tracks. And now that's more complicated than it seems, because most people who are going to do a shooting aren't going to post their plans 6 months before they do it. It usually happens pretty fast, and they don't, there's not too many warning signs. But that's what they had me do, and they just had me gather a lot of information for them, which I guess they found useful. And so I did that for around 6 months until I basically made my way out, because they were asking me to do some, what I thought was some shady stuff, which was they wanted me to infiltrate like white supremacist neo-Nazi groups or something, and I was like, yeah, I don't like in real life they wanted me to meet these people and like wear a wire or something, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to get killed for this. So but yeah, so I did that for around 6 months, and so the FBI definitely has their eyes on.
Well, were you being compensated, or were they intimidating you?
Oh yeah, I was. It wasn't. Let me just say, it wasn't the kind of money that I would have wanted to take that kind of risk with white supremacists or something. But yeah, and I'm sure they would have paid me more as time went on, but I just didn't see it as a worthwhile use of my time, because this is how I feel about it. At the end of the day, I don't think the FBI would ever trust an informant, because a rat is always a rat. You know what I mean? So I don't think they're going to trust someone who does that, like, in general. So it seemed like a waste of my time. But it was an interesting experience, and all I can say is I think there's not much you can really do to prevent these attacks, like by getting informants to spy on incels or whatever. It's just a fact. Most people who do these attacks, there aren't many warning signs before it happens, so it's very hard to prevent.
So basically, they were asking you to profile your people you were in contact with and suggest to them who was a likely danger.
Yeah, exactly. And that never came about, because I don't know anyone who even remotely seems close to doing that. But at the same time, what I was doing was I was just giving them answers to their questions about the group, because you got to keep in mind, the FBI is just a bunch of baby boomers who don't really know what's going on, and they don't understand social media or incel. They aren't a bunch of genius, like, intellectuals who understand everything. Like, it's a lot of these guys that I met are a little older with not that much knowledge on this stuff. So they were just asking me to try to fill in some of the gaps. So I think probably they found it useful.
And it was about a year and a half ago?
Yeah. I haven't worked for them since August, I think. And yeah, I had like a 6-month relationship with them.
Okay. And you don't believe any cases which came about from your work?
No. And the reason for that is like I said, I mean, dangerous people, especially this kind of danger, usually hide their intentions pretty well. And it's rare that someone will announce to the world over and over again that they have this plan to do a shooting. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So I don't know exactly what the point was. And also, I've heard many times that, like a mass shooter will do the attack, and it'll come out that like the FBI was investigating him, and the police came to his house, and all this stuff. It's like, I'm pretty sure if someone is going to do that and their heart is set on doing it, there's not much you can do. I mean, and even if you throw them in jail for a couple years, when they come out, they're going to be even angrier. So what are you supposed to do? It's kind of tough. It's like the only thing that might stop some of these things from happening is like just a massive change to our society, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. So
now there was also an incident too where you were reported missing for a few days.
Yeah, well, that was at the end of last year. I was just, well, I mean, funnily enough, I mean, it's kind of like embarrassing to say, but I was, so despite any luck that I've had with women in the last couple of years, and I can say how much better things are for me now, you know, rejection still hits me hard. And so what happened was, like I said, it's embarrassing to admit, but at the beginning of December, I had a rejection from a girl who, it wasn't the worst rejection. She was an older woman in her late 30s who was hitting on me, and I decided to kind of approach her and see what would happen. And anyway, and she told me I was a good-looking guy, but I was just way too young for her, and it was just ridiculous. But you know, so that's really not that bad of a rejection. But I was going through a lot of horrible just stuff at that time, and I was kind of in a suicidal mindset around that time. And now it wasn't exactly just about the rejection. I was just struggling a lot back then, back in December. But yeah, that me going missing thing was, I was like, yeah, I'm not exactly sure what I was doing. Maybe it was a cry for help, probably. But you know, I don't know if I was really gonna actually do anything to hurt myself for real. But that was what happened there. But so, you know, that's the thing. That's, even though I do better with women now than I used to, like a rejection, even like that's not even, that's barely even a rejection. That's just a girl telling me you're just too young for me, but you're still a good looking guy, Jack. Like, that's not even that bad. But that, combined with years of isolation and bullying when I was young, it's just all like, it's all still there. And so like when something like that happens with a girl or you know, whatever, it can just trigger a lot of emotions. So that's that incident of me going missing and everything, and like losing my mind back then, like that shows kind of the effects of what can happen. You know, if you feel rejected, even if you're not really rejected, like in that situation, that's not even the worst. I mean, people have heard much worse from women, and so you know, you can definitely go down a spiral with this stuff. It can be dangerous for sure.
Out of everything, because I've pretty much just been going off the Wikipedia page. Out of everything about you on the internet, what's the biggest misconceptions about yourself that you want to correct?
The biggest misconception, I mean, this is a funny thing to say, but I'm definitely not as good of a guy as as it seems with some of these articles. Because I had a whole thing a couple years ago where I acted like I was reformed just from the incel community, and I had turned myself around. I turned my life around and all this. That's not exactly true. I mean, a lot of it was I was exaggerating for the sake of, like, I don't know. You know, when you go your entire life without any attention from anyone, basically, and all of a sudden you're on ABC News and CNN wants to talk to you and all this stuff, you don't know what to say see if I could maybe get on the media's good side or something. So I made myself out to be a better guy and said, I don't want to be involved with this horrible group. But at the end of the day, like, a lot of that was definitely an exaggeration. I mean, my biggest focus in life is just on getting myself into a better position and trying to improve my situation, because I only have so much energy, and I can only really focus it on myself right now. So, I definitely tried to paint myself as someone who was like trying to stop all this bad violence and stuff. But really, I'm right now, I'm pretty much focused on myself, because I only have enough energy to do that. So
yeah. You got enough energy to beat yourself up all the time, man. I tell you. Let me ask you a question now. Today going forward, you're way too hard on yourself. Today going forward, right? What is Jack Peterson doing to improve his life? Are you getting kind of professional help, life coaching, therapy, vitamins, diet, exercise, self-help tapes, self-hypnosis, that kind of motivational tapes and stuff? Anything like that?
The number one thing that helps me throughout my life is just, this might sound simple to some of these, some of the people listening, but I spent a lot of time isolating myself in a room and just doing nothing and talking to nobody. And the biggest improvement that I've made in my life is just trying to interact with other people and just trying my best not to stay isolated, and just something as simple as waking up earlier in the day, because a lot of the time, I would just sleep the whole day and stay up really late. Like, just waking up, somewhat early, and trying not to eat just complete junk food all the time. And it, again, a lot of this is about a positive mindset, because even I fell into a trap back in December where I was doing all this suicide drama again, and so I'm definitely guilty of falling into traps over and over and over again. And so for me, it's just about trying to stay positive. And here's what sucks. Here's the thing that sucks. A lot of the reason why I feel better now is for things that are completely out of my control. Like, I get more matches on dating apps than a lot of incels I know. Why do I get more matches? I don't know. I don't put any more effort into it than a lot of these guys. I guess it's just I look better than a lot of these guys. It's out of my control. I had nothing to do with that. I mean, if I get female attention, and I get any kind of sexual attention or whatever the case may be, I mean, I feel better about myself. And so that's the thing that sucks about that, is a lot of that definitely is not something I put a lot of work into at all. It's just something that happens easily. And I don't, that's why I talk about, incels talk about looks and height and these sorts of things that you can't really do much about. And a lot of it just seemed to be out of my control. And so,
a couple of quick questions, because we are pretty much out of time.
Sure.
What about, because it would appear to me, have you ever been diagnosed with depression and tried antidepressants?
Yeah, well, from what I can tell, they I might be bipolar, but definitely, I've looked into that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of antidepressants or any kind of pills. I mean, I think the biggest reason why most people might be depressed is because their life sucks.
Yeah.
And you have to improve your life first. And if after you improve your life, if you're still depressed, then maybe try the antidepressants. That's my opinion.
Jack Peterson, thank you so much. I really appreciate you sharing so many personal details about your life. Okay, check out his YouTube channel, Jack Peterson, INCEL. It should come right up. And now a word from our sponsors. OppermanReport.com. Hey, do you like what you're hearing? Do you like the work that you see us doing here at Opperman Report? You can support that work by becoming a member at OppermanReport.com. And as you have access to over 200 exclusive shows and interviews that you can't find on YouTube or Spreaker or iHeart or iTunes or KYAH. You can't find them anywhere else online, exclusive to our member sections, to our members. Also, too, there's images, videos, documents, court docs. And don't forget, you can hear your ad played here on the Opperman Report, reach hundreds and hundreds of thousands of people on a daily basis because the show is repeated every day all over the world. Contact me at oppermanreport@gmail.com and I'll give you a good deal on advertising rates.
Have you ever thought about opening your own mobile cart or kiosk business? Maybe the facility you manage could establish new revenue by adding coffee, food, or retail services. Cart King International can be the answer to your needs. Cart King is a North American designer and manufacturer of the finest mobile coffee, food, and retail carts and kiosks. Cart King has been working with clients and corporations across North America for 20 years, providing innovative designs, custom manufacturing, and timely delivery. Carts and kiosks are fun, and so are the dozens of designs on our website. Please visit us today at www.cart-king.com or just call us at 1-877-986-7771 and get your sales rolling.
The Opperman Report is brought to you by aquadam.net. You can give them a call at 707-764-2119. A flooded home is never easy to deal with. You're left with the mess to clean up, the insurance companies to deal with, and not to mention all the memories, the precious memories that are lost in the flood. You can never replace those. And Aqua Dam can be a tool in your arsenal to protect your home and property from the floodwaters. The cofferdam is filled with water to control water and is reusable as long as it's taken care of. It can protect your home or business from rising floodwaters like a dam, but without the beavers. It can also be used in construction. If you need an area to be dewatered, an Aqua Dam can do the job. An Aqua Dam was used at SeaWorld in Orlando for the Mako roller coaster ride during the coaster's construction by dewatering the work area. An Aqua Dam is now dewatering the work area at San Antonio SeaWorld for their newest roller coaster ride. An Aqua Dam has been used in many construction projects all around the U.S. and all around the world. Now give Aqua Dam a call, 707-764-2119. You can look them up online at aquadam.net. You can find them on Facebook at Aquadam Inc. You call them up, you email them, you tell them Ed Opperman sent you, and they're going to take 10% off the price. Aquadam.net, 707-764-2119.
Are you ready to change your life, but don't know how to start? Is your stress and worries keeping you awake at night? Have you been battling grief, anxiety, or depression all alone? Have you lost touch with your own sense of being or spirituality? Soul Free Therapies offers professional and affordable live video streaming counseling and coaching services from the comfort of your own home. Sessions offered in English, Spanish, and Portuguese. Go to our website at www.soul-free.com and book your first session today.
If you find yourself in need of legal representation, it can be a very stressful time in your life. In my career, I have dealt with thousands of lawyers, I've dealt with thousands of law firms, and I can confidently recommend to you Keith M. Davidson at kmdlaw.com. Available 24 hours, 7 days a week. Just log into kmdlaw.com. That's kmdlaw.com. Or you can call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. That's 833-4KMD-LAW. Personal injury, wrongful death, STDs, sexual assault, car accidents. They handle it all efficiently and professionally. It doesn't matter how imposing the opposition may be, because the team at kmdlaw.com are battle-tested and fierce. They will not stop until justice prevails. Go to kmdlaw.com or call toll-free 833-4KMD-LAW. If you're in for the fight of your life, stop screwing around and contact KMD Law. PureSoapFlakes.com. 218-568-2525. Have you ever heard of Castile Soap? Pure Soap Flake Company handcrafts fine soap bars, laundry powder, and concentrated soap flakes using organic vegetable oils from their northern Minnesota facility. Bathe your body and wash your clothes with Pure Soap products that are free of fragrance, GMOs, palm oil, sodium lauryl sulfate, and synthetic additives. Keep it clean, folks. Pure Soap Flake Company products are kind to living creatures and sensitive skin, safe for drains and waterways, and work great in high-efficiency washers and top and front-loading machines. They have a little promotion going on. Contact them to order some soap. Mention the Opperman Report. You're going to get a free gift. They're going to send you a little extra soap, travel size, soap bars and laundry soap, cleaning soap flakes. I've been using that stuff all day long today. Great stuff. Order today at puresoapflakes.com or give them a call, 218-568-2525, 218-568-2525. Pure Soap Flake Company is a proud member of the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild.